Hey guys, Scare9 here, welcome back to my channel today, and in this video, I want to talk about why Grandmaster Nightfalls are probably the greatest addition to the game that we have had this year, and most certainly in Season 10. I think this is some of the best strike content that we have ever had since strikes launched back in Vanilla Destiny 1, and I sure as hell think that this is some of the best content in the entire game that we have received for a multitude of reasons. Let's go ahead and look at a couple different aspects that I think can make them great, and then talk about a few aspects I think that Bungie could tweak just a little bit to make them perfect. We're going to focus on loot, difficulty, and fun. We're going to tackle each of these things a little bit separately from each other and talk about what I like about what they did as well as what they could change. Now, all of these only apply for Season 10. If Bungie does anything in Season 11 or onward, obviously I can't talk about that because I'm not a freaking time traveler, but this also only applies to the 6 current Grandmaster Nightfalls: Insight Terminus, Exodus Crash, Arms Dealer, the Warden of Nothing, Broodhold, and Tree of Probabilities. I have done all of these at least twice, and so I like to think that I have quite a lot of experience, and I'd like to put my input in on this activity because I think it's a lot of fun. So loot. The loot is essentially the same as a 1030 or a Master Nightfall, which kind of sucks. I'm not going to lie. You essentially are guaranteed an Ascendant Shard. If you're lucky, you get an exotic as well. It's kind of just that. Like, that's it. You might be able to not get either of those things. I can't really remember a run where that happened to me, but I don't want to say that it never happens. It's a very reliable source of Ascendant Shards, and I felt like I was getting an exotic every 2 to 3 runs. And now that exotics can be really high rolled, this is a great way to farm them, but I just don't think it's as effective as the 1030, which is unfortunate. So the loot could probably be tweaked a little bit. The really nice thing that comes with this mode is going to be the Conqueror Title. It's not that hard to get. Actually, just last night on stream, we knocked out all 6 of these in a pretty casual fashion. We weren't going like hardcore speedrunning or anything, and it only took us 6 hours to get our friend the Conqueror Title from scratch. And that is the 2nd rarest title in all of Destiny right now. So it's very doable in a very, very short amount of time. I would recommend it. Now, I would love for them to expand on the loot in further seasons. I think guaranteeing an exotic from every run is a minimum requirement that they should do. They are incredibly challenging, as we'll talk about in a little bit. And so if you're able to consistently knock these out, sure, just have an exotic every time. You know, I think that is definitely something that could help this game mode a lot. I think Bungie approached this as having a game mode that just challenged people one time and that was it. But I would really like to see them reconsider that and reapproach this game mode as something that you farm for the absolute top tier players. I think that would be absolutely awesome. Another thing that they could do is add something like a unique Sparrow or Ship or Ghost Shell that only drops from the final chest of this difficulty, sort of like the Sparrow that only comes from the flawless chest of Trials, because the best of the best players are going to play Trials over and over and over again until they go flawless enough times to get that Sparrow. I think it'd be really cool if Grandmaster Nightfalls had some sort of equivalent for this. I think that would be very, very cool. Now, the difficulty, honestly, they're not as hard as I originally expected, but don't get me wrong, they can be brutally difficult, especially if you mess up. If you have a dedicated team that's willing to adapt new strategies, practice, go in for an extended amount of time, you can very easily find out strategies to knock these out really quickly. Tree of Probabilities is an excellent example of this. If you go in with an Anarchy, the boss is gonna murder you, like straight up. That is probably one of the hardest boss fights to do with like an Anarchy, Recluse, that sort of setup in the entire game. It's brutal, but you throw on a sword or 3 swords and 2 Titan bubbles, it becomes one of the easiest boss fights in the game. So by approaching these situations from different aspects and using different weapons and reconsidering all of the environments, it provides a nice little challenge and makes you feel good because you overcome them. Now, these do have the contest modifiers active. You have to be 1025 to launch them, and you can only be 1025 in them. If you are 1026, it knocks you back down. If you're 1050, it knocks you back down, which means you are always 25 light level under because it is a 1050 activity, which makes it, once again, more difficult. And this is something that is super welcome in my opinion. The hardest content in the game has to be PvP, but that's not really dependent on Bungie, right? That's just the skill level of the players that you happen to face based on RNG. But for PvE, I would say that the pinnacle activity up to this point has just been raids, and that's it. And they're kind of jokes now. Don't get me wrong, I freaking love raiding. I run like 10 raids a week, but they're jokes. You can run them in 15, 20 minutes, some of the faster ones. If you're going more casual, you're not hitting out of bounds things and speed strats, 30, 35 minutes pretty much is the max. Kind of sucks. I really miss being challenged. I would love a Grandmaster difficulty raid in the future, but that's not what this video is about. What I really appreciate about Grandmaster Nightfalls is finally us PvE players have some sort of top tier, top difficulty activity that really challenges you, especially the first time through. And I think that's awesome. Like I said, they could be a little bit more difficult. I think it's kind of silly that a boss can't one-shot you even through a bubble, but like a Scion can. So it allows you to run the tree of probability strike unfazed essentially. But overall, I actually very much enjoy the difficulty of these. If you mess up, you're dead. That goes for champions, bosses, but also regular enemies. Things like legionaries take an entire mag of something like spare rations to kill. And that's kind of brutal, but it's also kind of awesome. For once in Destiny, I felt like I was really just not on top. I didn't feel the power creep. That's a great way to put it. These types of activities really eliminate that sort of issue. And that's awesome. That's something I wish we had more of within Destiny. And I can't wait to see how they expand on this. Hell, even if we just get 6 new strikes, they don't have to tune the difficulty at all. We just get 6 new strikes. We have to find out 6 new strategies. I think that will be incredibly fun. And that's going to lead into the fun factor as well. I've already sort of talked about this with the difficulty, but I personally love being challenged. I love doing low man raid activities. I love doing like solo flawless dungeons and that sort of thing. It's just something that I think is incredibly fun. Challenging myself to become a better player and finding out new strategies and working these things out for myself, I think that is incredibly fun. And Grandmaster Nightfalls provided an excellent opportunity for these sorts of things to happen. So I'm very excited to run them over and over again. And that's why I have. Anytime a friend has asked me to run one, I've said yes. Ask all of my friends. I have not said no to a single group of people. And that is because Grandmaster Nightfalls are so freaking fun. Just the brutal intensity, knowing that you can make a mistake any second and you'll have to dig your way out of that hole. I don't know why. I might be a freak. I might just be weird, but I absolutely love that aspect of it. So it's something I'm really excited to see in the future. Like I said, I hope that next season Bungie just cycles it out. We get 6 brand new ones. And even though I already have the Conqueror title, you bet your ass I'm going to be back in there figuring it out, having fun, because I actually very much enjoy that aspect of the game, especially if they just make it a tad more rewarding. So those are the reasons I think Grandmaster Nightfalls are some of the best content we have had up to this point. Just to kind of reiterate, the Conqueror title is cool as hell. It's nice to finally have a challenge that not every player can do. I've heard some people complaining that, it might be too difficult, not everyone can do it, but that's the point. Not everyone is supposed to be able to do this, and it's nice to have some content focused at people who play this game a lot. And I know people are going to be like, only streamers can get the Conqueror title, but that's just not the case. And I think anyone can get this. Like I said, it took us 6 hours to get it yesterday at a very casual pace. You could easily do it faster than that, especially if you watch guides. So I think they're a lot of fun. The loot, while it's not the best, is still pretty good. I'm sitting on like 20 Ascendant Shards now, which is awesome going into a new DLC. The stat rolls that you get from exotics are really nice, and getting one every 2 to 3 runs is incredibly fun. I do think they could tune that a little bit to make them more rewarding. I think the difficulty's in a really good place. Could be harder, but honestly, it might be too difficult at that point. So I really like where they are there, and I just think they are a ton of fun, and I cannot wait to get my hands on some new Grandmaster Nightfall content. So let me know what you guys think about this. How many of the Grandmaster Nightfalls have you personally beaten? Do you have the Conqueror seal? Are you 0 for 6? Have you beaten one of them? Let me know down in the comment section below. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like rating and to share it with your friends. If you're interested in watching either of the 2 videos on screen, you can click their respective annotations to be taken in them. If you're brand new to my channel, make sure there's a giant version of my logo on screen to be subscribed to our awesome Destiny 2 videos and live streams. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I'll see you in my next video.